Hello guys, so welcome to KO tutorials. So let's continue with the next part of this tutorial. So let's get started. So as you can see over here, we have started with the lighting part over here. As you can see over here, we have placed one V-ray sun over here and we have placed one V-ray light over here. So now what I'll be doing over here is like we'll be definitely making few changes over here. So very first of all, when I will be starting up over here, so definitely I'll be setting this as a kind of a fill light over here. So I'll just reduce its intensity over here and the color of the light. Let's go down. Now what I'll be doing over here is like, let's go into the render settings over here. Let's go into rendering. Let's go into render setup. And into the render setup, very first of all, what I'll be doing over here is like, let's go into V-Ray, go into this, and will not be going with the sampling right now. I'll go into this and in global DMC go down. Okay, frame buffer, your global DMC. Okay, let's set this as adaptive subdivision as your sampler over here for right now, and I will be setting this filter as Michelle right now, blurring against, go down, go into the environment. So if you don't require the environment, you can keep the environment. If you want the environment, you can on and off the GI environment. So if you want that there should be a light coming into the interior through your environment or this stuff, that's a GI environment. It's a global illumination environment. Let's go into the color mapping and let's keep it as exponential right now. Go into the GI, that's your primary and secondary bounds for the light. So mostly what we set as GI, as you enable this GI, let's keep that irradiance map and your light cache over here. Let's again go into this irradiance map, and your current preset you should always try to keep it as medium for now. Right now I'm not making a very high settings right now, and your subdivisions will keep it as 160 by 50. And let's go down. If you are facing any noise issues, we'll be definitely going with this light cache subdivisions. And also you can go up. You have a minimum noise threshold, that's your 0.001. you can keep this over here, and let's just try to render and see how it looks like. So now what I'll be doing over here is like I'll go into this, I'll just select this light over here, and if I increase its intensity of this particular light, and also I'll be putting one more fill light, a kind of a supportive light right from here. Let's just resize this light, and the intensity of this light would be very less, that would be 0.5 or something over here. And let's just render this and see how it looks like. That looks much better now. Okay, so let's just select this light over here. Into this light, let's go into this options, no decay. Select this, make it as no decay. You don't need any cast shadows also, and you can again go into this rendering. And if you don't need any kind of GI options, we can off that GI environment if you really don't need it. So we can just go into this and we can just off this GI environment, and let's render and see how it looks like. Now looks much better. So if you look at it, the light is more flatter because of this. So what we'll be doing is like we'll select this light first of all and 0.08, we'll keep this intensity and let's render and see. Looks much better. And if you can get some kind of a wall texture also, you can go with any of a wall texture also. That would definitely be much more appealing over here. And secondly, I'll go into this over here. I'll select this and let's just increase the intensity multiplier to 0.2 over here, and let's reduce this to 2 over here, and if we just give it as a white color and let's render and see how it looks like. It looks much better now. So what I have done over here is like I have put two Vray lights. One Vray sun, I have increased the intensity of that particular light. So we'll just try to push this light more behind. We can just try to push this light more behind, or we can just push this up over here. And if you want to go with some other wall texture, you can go with other wall texture also, not a problem. We can just try it how it looks like. So if you just switch to camera view and if you go into this, and if you want to check out some other wall textures, you can just check out. First let's just save this file. So if you want to go with some other wall texture, you can just go with some other wall textures also. You can go with some bluish, dark bluish wall textures, light bluish wall textures, and you can see how it looks like if you go with such wall textures. So if you go with such wall textures, it's definitely going to look much more brightened up. So if you want, definitely I would suggest you should go with some better darker colors, light colors. Let's see how it looks like. So it looks much better over here. So we are just experimenting with the colors. If you want, you can also give a texture also. If you have any kind of a wall texture, you can just give a wall texture also. If you have a wall texture, you can go with the wall texture, not a problem. You can go with the wall texture also if you want. You can just check out how it looks like. Looks much better. So if you look at it, we have not activated the GI option over here. We can even go with some wall textures. So don't go more with a orangish. Let's see. You can go with a bit of, if you go with a bit of a light color, and if you just try to render it again, you can just render it. Okay, so if you can get some better wall texture, you can go with the wall texture, not a problem. You can go with some good wall textures. So you can also take it from any textures.com or anything. You can go with some better wall textures, and if you can get some good wall textures, you can go with that. You can go with any of the tiling wall textures also. If you want some stylish wall textures, you can go with that also. You can just check out some 2-3 wall textures. You can go with some good concrete wall textures. You can just check out this wall textures. So if I go into this, and if I let's just assign a wall texture which we have just generated over here. You can go with that. Let's see how it looks like. Let's render it. Looks good. So we can work with a bit of lighting actually. The lighting has to be the lighting is very high. We can just go into this intensity multiplier. We can go with 0.1, and this is okay, 0.07, and let's keep it as 1.8. And although we have this color is So we can go with this and we can just change the color, because you've taken a white color on it. And let's render and see, because there was already a white color. Okay, that looks much better. Definitely your light, that's your V-ray light, that's your V-ray sunlight, should be much higher. Let it render. So definitely it's going to take a bit of time. I'll just select this part. I'll go into the material for this and I'll reduce its reflections. The reflections are very high for this, for the floor. So I'll just reduce the reflections. Now let's render and see. Looks much better now. Again select this, into this, let's go back, and instead of this, if I go with some other image, so we have already generated one more image over here. Let's render. Okay, this looks very flat. I think you can go with the darker color only, that would be much better. So it's like you can go with the color part only. So let's just clear this out and let's just go with some darker color. So let's go into rendering, view image file. We have that image file. Let's just open that image file and I'll just again pick that particular color for it. And if you want that color should be more towards a bit of lighter, you can go with that. Go back and let's just drag the same color and let's see. So we'll just increase this intensity, because when a color is light or dark, more darker, then you need to increase the intensity of this light. We can just increase its intensity to 0.09 and let's increase its intensity to 2 and let's just keep this more towards white and render it. Alright. If you still think that my wall looks much flatter, you can definitely change the texture. So if you want, you can just change the texture of it. You can go with that, not a problem. Let's render it. Okay, I think this looks much better. Can go with this. Let it render now. So if you want to generate the passes, you can definitely generate the passes also. It's going to take more time. So I have deactivated your GI environment. So just let it render. So guys, if you have any doubts, please write it in the comment section. Please write it in the comment section. So we'll come up with another part. So this was the Vray settings what we have done, and we'll be making some tweakings, like we'll be putting some kind of a fog light which is coming from a window, that will be covering it in the next part of this tutorial. So thanks for watching this tutorial.